This is the Possible Care for Dogs. The podcast begins.
Welcome to a new episode of the Possible Care for Dogs podcast.
Or as we like to call it here, the deep dive.
Today, we're exploring further the insights from the article, German Short-Haired Pointer Health, Essential Best Practices for a Happy and Healthy Life.
That's right. If you're a GSP enthusiast, you already know how much energy and sheer devotion these dogs bring.
Totally. And to really honor that, we need to know how best to care for them, right?
Exactly. So we've dug into the expert advice, the research, trying to get a really solid handle on keeping your GSP thriving.
Yeah, we're aiming for more than just basics today. We want to get into the specifics of what makes a GSP happy and healthy.
We'll be hitting key areas, common health stuff, what they need to eat, exercise, which is huge for them, grooming, vet care.
The whole picture. So let's dive in. Thinking about GSP health, what are the big things owners really need to be aware of?
Well, the source material makes it clear. GSPs are pretty tough dogs, generally speaking, but they do have some predispositions.
Like what, for instance?
Hip dysplasia is a big one. You see it in active breeds. It's about how the hip joint forms, basically.
Okay. And since they're always running and jumping?
Precisely. Early screening, like through the OFA, that's the Orthopedic Foundation for Animals, can really help identify it.
Right.
And beyond screening, keeping them lean is super important. Less weight means less strain on those joints.
Makes sense. Joint supplements, too. Some people use those.
Yeah, some owners find they offer extra support. Definitely worth discussing with your vet.
Okay, hip dysplasia. Got it. What else should be on our radar?
Bloat, or the technical term gastric dilatation volvulus, is serious.
Why are GSPs prone to that?
It's their deep chests. That structure makes them more susceptible, unfortunately. It can be life-threatening.
Wow. So what can you do?
The article highlights feeding smaller meals more often, instead of one big one.
Oh.
And crucially, don't let them do intense exercise right after eating. Give their stomach time to settle.
That's really practical advice. Knowing the risk is one thing, but knowing what to do.
Exactly. It helps.
The article also brought up lymphedema. I hadn't really heard of that much with GSPs.
No, it's definitely less common, but it is documented in the breed.
What is it?
It's about the lymphatic system, the body's drainage system. If it's not working right, fluid can build up.
Oh, okay.
So you might see swelling, typically in the legs. It's rarer, like I said, but still something to know about.
Interesting. So joints, stomach, what about their eyes? Any concerns there?
Yeah, like a lot of breeds, GSPs can be prone to certain eye conditions. The main ones mentioned are cataracts and PRA, progressive retinal atrophy.
PRA.
Yeah, the veterinary ophthalmology study mentioned in our source suggests regular eye exams are a good idea, especially if there's a family history.
So get their eyes checked regularly by a specialist.
Ideally, yes. Catching things early gives you more options for managing them, helps preserve their sight longer.
Okay, that's a good overview of the potential health hurdles. Let's switch gears to something we manage daily: food. Nutrition.
Absolutely critical for these guys.
With all that energy, I imagine their dietary needs are pretty high.
Oh, definitely. They burn a lot of calories. The source gives a guideline, something like 2.5 to 4 cups of really good quality kibble a day.
Okay.
And ideally split that into 2 meals. The key is high quality and nutrient rich, especially protein. They need plenty of protein for those muscles.
Right, got to fuel the machine.
Yeah.
What about adding things in? Supplements?
Yeah, they can be beneficial. Omega-3s are often recommended, good for their coat, and they have anti-inflammatory properties too, which helps act dogs.
And for joints?
Glucosamine is often mentioned. We talked about hip dysplasia, so supporting joint health is definitely a consideration for GSPs.
Makes sense. And the article really hammered home the point about not overfeeding, didn't it?
It did, and it's so important. Extra weight puts stress on joints, slows them down, and can even shorten their life.
Really?
Yeah, the Purina Lifespan study showed that leaner dogs tend to live significantly longer, healthier lives. It's compelling stuff.
Okay, so keeping them lean is key.
Absolutely. Those few extra pounds really do make a difference.
So we fuel them right, keep them lean. Now, the exercise part. This sounds like a big commitment.
It is. No getting around it with a GSP. The source suggests a minimum of 90 to 120 minutes of vigorous activity daily.
So not just a walk around the block.
Definitely not. They need to run, hiking, swimming, fetch, activities where they can really stretch their legs.
Sounds like fun if you're an active owner yourself.
It is. But it's not just physical. Mental exercise is just as important for these smart dogs.
Ah, right. Keep their brains busy, too.
Totally. They're brilliant at things like scent work, tracking, advanced obedience, stuff that makes them think.
Like giving them a job.
Exactly. They thrive on having a purpose. Field work, dog sports like dock diving, even just structured games. It channels that intelligence and energy.
I like that. Tapping into their natural instincts. Okay, grooming. Their coats look pretty low maintenance.
They are, relatively speaking. But low maintenance doesn't mean no maintenance. Grooming is still essential.
So what's involved?
A weekly brush down is good. Use a rubber curry mitt or maybe a bristle brush. Helps remove loose hair, keeps the coat sleek, and lets you check their skin.
Easy enough. Baths.
Every 6 to 8 weeks, usually. Or, whenever they find a mud puddle.
Which they probably will. What about nails and ears?
Nails, about once a month, or when you hear them clicking on the floor. Ears need a weekly clean with a proper solution to help prevent infections.
And teeth.
Super important. Brushing 2-3 times a week really helps fight tartar buildup and keeps their mouth healthy.
Good reminders. It's all part of the package. Now, we've covered home care, but what about the vet? Preventive care must be vital.
It's the foundation, really. Annual checkups are a must.
What should those checkups cover specifically for a GSP?
Well, given what we discussed, definitely assessments of hips, eyes, and gut health. Plus the usual physical exam.
And keeping up with shots and preventatives.
Non-negotiable. Core vaccines, maybe others depending on lifestyle, and year-round protection against fleas, ticks, and heartworm. Absolutely essential.
And the article mentioned talking to your vet about bloat prevention surgery, gastropexy.
Yeah, for dogs considered high risk, it's a conversation worth having. It's a preventative surgery that can tack the stomach down to stop it twisting. Definitely something to discuss pros and cons with your vet.
Right, that proactive partnership with the vet seems crucial.
It really is.
The source also had some tips specifically for GSPs beyond the general stuff. What stood out to you there?
Their need for companionship, definitely. They bond really deeply with their people.
So they don't do well being left alone a lot?
Not typically, no.
Yeah.
They can get quite anxious or stressed. They really need to be part of the family activity.
What else?
They seem to really like structure and variety. And having a purpose, like we touched on with exercise, they like having a job to do.
So a bored, lonely GSP is probably not going to thrive.
Exactly. That's why things like early crate training, making it a safe space, not a punishment, rotating toys to keep things interesting, and giving them small tasks.
Like carrying a doggy backpack.
Yeah, stuff like that. It all feeds into their need for engagement, both physical and mental.
This seems like a really good point to pause for a second. If you're finding this deep dive into GSP care useful.
Now's a great time to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel.
Definitely. We've got lots more planned.
So if you tie all these threads together, health checks, nutrition, the right kind of exercise, mental stimulation, grooming, companionship, it's a whole package.
It really is a holistic approach, isn't it? Understanding the breed and meeting all those different needs proactively.
Yeah. And when you do that,
You get years of companionship with these amazing dogs. Their intelligence, that energy, their loyalty. It's incredible. Being informed and proactive just sets you both up for success.
which brings us to you listening. What works for your German short-haired pointer? What are your go-to tips for keeping them happy and healthy?
We'd love to hear them. Share your stories, your questions, any suggestions or experiences you have in the comments below.
Yeah, let's keep the conversation going. We all learn from each other.
Absolutely. So have a beautiful day. Take care of your lovely doggies, and we'll see you on the next one.